we win together, we lose together, like we all share the same emotions, because at the end of the day, we have goals to hit, as a company, and, you can't do without your team, so having a good team and, where you can be transparent and share ideas and have, constructive criticism is super important for not only the company's development, but for your own development.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the Own Your Education podcast. I'm here with Brendan Sundrud. Now, me and Brendan got to spend a good amount of time a few weeks ago at lunch. So we've already met in person, which is cool. But we first met when you were coming through the course. What was it? How many months ago was that now?
Yeah, I joined the dojo cohort in January, starting off the year strong, trying to get my skills up and whatnot. So thanks for having me, man. Grateful to be here, and I appreciate what you do.
Well, I think you're a rock star. So I'm super excited to talk with you because you've now been working at Hulda for how many months now have you been there?
About 7 months now. Mm-hmm.
Okay. 7 months in tech sales. I'm excited to hear about everything that you've been learning up to this point and some of the experiences you've been having, the mentorship opportunities and things like that. But before we even get into the tech sales side, I want to learn a little bit about Brendan. So maybe tell me where you're from, and then even a little bit about what you were doing before coming into the course and before getting into tech.
Yeah, of course. A little context. I recently moved to Utah. Today makes right around a year since I've arrived. And I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. So the deep South, And, during that time, Louisiana is one of those places where you're grateful to be from, but you can't wait to get out, right? So just the general culture, growing up, it was very laid back. People were it was a comfortable living, the culture revolved around, drinking, football, and food, and fishing, of course. So, which I totally love and have a lot of great memories with, but I knew I wanted better for myself. And as far as like career-wise, before I moved to Utah, I was working in healthcare on the administration side. And I was working in admissions at a substance abuse rehab center, and which, brought me a lot of, great, fulfillment, feel like I was helping the community and things like that. But eventually, I was kind of in this point of being stuck in a way, trying to figure out what the next move is, what other opportunities out there, like what do I really want? So, eventually my girlfriend and I, we decided to, pursue new opportunities. I already had family that was originally from Louisiana, and they moved to Utah, and we had a couple opportunities to visit, and then my girlfriend and I started talking like, yeah, we can really see ourselves living out here. I think this, where we want to go in life and our goals. I think that Utah can help provide and, launch us to that trajectory. So, and ever since I've gotten here about a year ago, it's been nothing but joy and surrounding myself with, positive influences and, just grateful to be here.
That's cool. Well, welcome to Utah. You're getting your status as a local, Mm-hmm. Do you ski yet?
Well, I wanted to wait till I got health insurance first.
There we go.
Yeah, I'll definitely plan on hitting the slopes this season though.
Heck yeah. Well, I remember talking before you even started the course, because I remember you telling me about you being in the healthcare space, but mm-hmm. you have a unique position in the healthcare space, like mm-hmm. being able to work in substance abuse and rehab. There's mm-hmm. a lot of purpose that I know goes into that. And that's a pretty cool, passionate job that you got to do. How has that, have you seen that passion still be with you, even like transitioning out of maybe a healthcare space into like a tech scene? Like, have you seen that passion stay with you, and maybe how's it even changed? Or
mm-hmm. No, that's an excellent question. And I thought about that a while before kind of transitioning into tech. Am I going to find like that same fulfillment as I did in substance abuse? But with that, like I eventually discovered that I'm always a very approachable person. I enjoy one-on-one conversations, connecting with people. And I found that sales was a great avenue for that, to kind of transition that passion into, sales. So And for me, when I get that fulfillment, of helping these, businesses solve problems, and when you're cold calling them and they're like, all right, I'll get you your 15 minutes or whatever. And then they finally hop on the call and they discover something so unique and innovative, and, they're surprised and grateful that I reached out. So that gives me a lot of fulfillment, and just kind of seeing that aha moment. So,
dude, there is nothing better when you see the light switch go off in someone's eyes. It's like you have a vision of knowing how you can actually help them. And then it's just helping someone see the value and then being willing to listen. And then when that comes full circle and it actually benefits them, it's a pretty unique feeling.
Yeah, it's something special, man. You can't really describe it until you're in it. It's almost like a chase. You want to experience more of that and reach more people like that. So it definitely is motivating.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Bennett Hulda, I want to first know how you came across this opportunity, because I know you got intro to the course. It was your brother that told you about Dojo course, I believe. So maybe tell me a little bit about that, and then I want to hear about how you first got intro to Hulda too.
Yeah, for sure. Coming in about a year ago, I moved here, and during that time, I was blessed to have enough money saved up to kind of just spend time with my family, reconnect with them, and just get familiar with the area. And when the time came, I was kind of like, do I still want to pursue healthcare, or what else is out there? So, I kind of had a little heart to heart with my brother-in-law, and he was just like, dude, do you know where you're at right now? You're in Silicon freaking Slopes, man. Like, you got to take full advantage of it. And he saw that I had a great personality, and potential of becoming a good SDR and having a sales career. And, he eventually introduced me to Dojo. I think he knew your dad, through some kind of networking, because he's in the tech space, obviously, as a product manager, my brother-in-law. And eventually he encouraged me to sign up, and then that's when you reached out to me. And we had a great conversation, and coming out of that conversation, I knew this is the route I wanted to go.
That's awesome. So we can get into the course in just a second, maybe some takeaways, but I love how you came in contact with Hulda. Tell me a little bit about how you came across that opportunity, and then I want to hear about why you actually chose to take it.
Yeah, for sure. When I finished the cohort in January, I was on the job hunt, and I was really kind of picky about where I wanted to go, and I wanted, and in Dojo, you guys taught us 3 things to look forward to in a job. Whether it's a fair salary, opportunity to grow, and company culture. So I really took those into consideration, and I took these interviews that I lined up very seriously. And eventually I had the opportunity to. I noticed you posted a webinar with Cam Tolman, who is my current boss. Shout out to Cam. And I almost didn't make that webinar. I almost had something come up, which is kind of crazy, because I don't know where I would be at today. And sat in on the webinar. Cam dropped his wisdom. If anybody knows Cam, he's a wizard, sales wizard. And I connected with him on LinkedIn, and he messaged me and said he was hiring SDRs. And I was like, oh yeah, he seems like a great leader, somebody I can really learn from. And overall, he shows that he cares, about his team and their development. So I knew I wanted to be surrounded by people like that. So I definitely, was interested in the interview. And 7 months later, man, here I am today.
That's so cool. Well, I think it's awesome that you remember what we talked about when it comes to evaluating companies and trying to find that job that kind of fits you. I think a lot of people go into interviews and they feel like it's almost like a top down, they're being interrogated and they got to make sure they can prove themselves to the company. Mm-hmm. But I think it goes the other way too. I think that you should be able to almost see if the company fits what you want and see if they can reach your standards. Because I remember that you had a few opportunities, I think, that you didn't take. Yeah, because you were being picky and selective before you wanted to go.
For sure. I wanted to be around a product that I'm passionate about, and I had an open mind going into it, exploring different avenues of the tech industry, like fintech, things like that. But it was kind of hard to find something that was exciting. But eventually, I kept an open mind, and I feel like I'm the type of person that is very adaptable and can, really hit the ground running once I find my rhythm and know what I want. So I was lucky enough to, get introduced to Halda and Cam, and it's been I wouldn't change anything about it. So
I love that. So the three things that we did share with you, you're right. It was the base salary. Like, look at how much you're going to get paid. Obviously, that's important. Yeah. I think even more important than that is like, hey, what are my growth opportunities? Like individually, and then how's the company doing? So being able to evaluate that. I've heard some good things about what's happening at Halda right now, which is pretty cool. And then I think the biggest one for me is that culture piece. Like, who are my leaders? Who do I get to learn from? And I think the reason we teach that so hard is because of my own personal experience. Like when I came into Divi, I had a manager that completely changed my life. His name's Lee, and he's a black belt in Taekwondo, I believe.
Oh, wow.
So I'd always tease him, call him my sensei,
But came dojo.
But I'll tell you, that's actually where the name dojo kind of came from.
That's awesome.
Was my manager, who is a lifelong mentor of mine. I felt like he taught me so much. And so the word dojo, it's a place of learning, like specifically martial arts. But I think sales is also a skill that can be learned and developed. Mm-hmm. So when we called the company Dojo, I think it fit in because we want to learn and progress in sales. But it's also a tribute to my mentor from Divi, who completely changed my life. So when you're working at Halda, you're with one of, I think, is the best sales leaders in Utah with Cam Tolman. How has it been working with Cam? And like, what have been some takeaways that you've gotten just spending time around him? Yeah.
As a leader, he takes ownership, which, anybody that follows this guy, you get inspired, he pushes you to work harder. He doesn't micromanage you, you're it's up to you, he gives you that freedom, and that's a beautiful thing. I used to work in healthcare, and I was kind of always micromanaged and things like that, and didn't have a lot of opportunity to grow. And it being from a small startup, we're only about like 30 employees. We're at the Provo startup building, the old candy factory, humble beginnings, man. So it's exciting to see the energy. Everybody is really, really nice on a first name basis. I can literally go walk into our founder's office and just kind of just bring up ideas and things like that. So, but it gives you kind of this healthy pressure of like, wow, okay, we're small, but everybody's work matters. You can't just get by in the shadows, and they expect your best every day. And being around a team like that, that inspires me to do better. So yeah, it's just been amazing, man.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think when it comes to a startup, I love how personal it is. Like, I love being able to know your leaders, know your managers, and be able to gain like a big personal relationship with them at the end of the day. And so, even if you're out of a startup building, even if you're remote, I think there's so many opportunities that come from working for a good startup.
Yeah, no, I love that too. It's very humbling, and and when you're in a startup and you know that you have a great product market fit, and then you're excited to see where this goes, bringing something very innovative to an industry that desperately needs it. It's exciting to see where this can go 2 to 5 to 10 years from now. It's just super exciting and motivating.
Dang. Well, you got a good company, good product, good leader, manager. Like, how has the whole experience been? Like, when you transitioned from healthcare into your role within sales, was there like a learning curve, or do you feel like you just had to kind of grab the ropes and go? And how was that transition?
Yeah, no, that's an excellent question that I think about a lot. Before I left Louisiana, like I kind of, was in a very comfortable state. I was, very happy, like my coworkers and whatnot. I felt like it was good work, but it didn't check off the boxes as far as like, salary and opportunity to grow, and I have this kind of like fear of like failure, and, leaving, Louisiana, I took a big risk, essentially, but I knew I wanted something better for myself. And then, transitioning into sales, you kind of face failure every day if you look at it. Some people don't open up your emails, you get shot down on cold calls. It just is what it is. And that's kind of like, in a way, calloused me. And instead of looking like, oh no, I screwed up, or maybe I'm not cut out for this, it's kind of like, hey, maybe, what could I have done different? Or how can I polish this up? Or yeah, things like that. I think it makes the whole world of a difference to really, get kind of being comfortable failing, but not giving up at the same time.
Dude, when you say that, that really resonates with me. Coming from sales, starting a company, I have tried to learn to gain a better relationship with failure. It is not something you can run from or hide from, and I don't think you should either. I love what you said. There's so many ways you can learn from it if you allow yourself to do so.
Yeah.
And I think sales gives you a lot of opportunities to be able to learn from failure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, your mindset is everything, it's how you bounce back. You're going to have bad days, you're going to have a bad month. And it's just like how you have to understand what's in your control and what's out of your control. And for me, what I realize is like my output is always in my control. I can always work harder. I can always outwork the next rep, it's like, and that just, keeps me motivated. And you also have to, like, when you're hitting this like barrier of failure, you have to stack small wins, man. You have to be like, look, I got up today, calling the East Coast before anybody else is. That's a win. That's something to be proud of. And just having those mindsets, and it's a real mind game to, stay motivated and stay hungry, So overall, man, it's just been a hell of a journey.
I love that. I love hearing that too, about stacking small wins. One of the things I've been listening to podcasts. One of the guys that I really like right now, his name's Justin Sua. And some of the things that he talks about are process versus outcome type of goals. And when we focus on the outcome, that's not something we can typically control a lot of the time. So in sales, it's like, hey, I really hope this person says yes to looking at the product, or I really hope this deal closes. At the end of the day, you can influence those things, but you don't have direct control over what happens because it's an outcome.
Yep.
But if you focus on the process of what can I do? Like how much effort I'm going to put in, how many people I'm going to talk to, how can I improve my skill set to be able to portray the value of our product in the best way possible. I think when you focus on the process side, that's when things start to get more exciting because one, you're a little bit more in control of what you're doing, but two, that's when you start to see more of the progression and you start to feel yourself get better and better.
No, 100%, man. And for me, what I'm realizing is as I'm progressing through this industry, a lot of people think, oh, if I just get this one job or this one promotion, or like I'll be fine. But you have to need to develop your skills and focus on your skills. You're not a position away from your dream or your goal, your skills away. And if you realize that, and put that into action and polish yourself and reevaluate and always see what you can do better, like you're going to get there at the end of the day,
Dude, can you say that one more time? You're not goals away from your dreams or your skills away? Say that again.
Yeah, you're not goals or, titles or positions away from your dream or your skills away. And you got to develop your skills. And, when that falls into place, sky's the limit, man.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is a cool quote. We got to write that one down. If you're listening to this, write that down.
Yeah.
Brendan Sundrud.
Yep.
So 7 months in the role, ups, downs, all of it, good days, hard days. How have you seen yourself start to change? How have you seen yourself start to grow just working in a high caliber industry in sometimes a challenging role?
Yeah, I guess for me, it's just, constantly reevaluating, seeing what I can do better and and ultimately, kind of feeding off the energy of my coworkers too. You know, I try to surround myself. I mean, I feel like we all have a team at Halda. We have a team of all winners, you know, from product engineering to go to market, you know, these guys and gals just keep me going. And, you know, they're always there to give feedback. They're always there to kind of coach through, and vice versa, you know? So just being in around that type of environment, man, is just a blessing.
Yeah, I will say, when I started sales, to be honest, I didn't think I'd ever be in sales. Like I just didn't think it. Yeah,
yeah.
I didn't think it was something I really wanted to do, and I had a mentor of mine who kind of was like, "You should at least try it. Like it's such a good skill set. I think you would learn a lot." I was like, "Okay, let's go." So I tried it.
Right.
Ended up thinking it was an awesome career path, but one of the reasons that I felt like reserved about sales was because I always thought of it as a lone wolf type of mentality.
Yeah.
Where you hunt and you kill and you do your own thing and it's just you at the end of the day. And in some ways, sales is like that, where it's like, it's your number, you got to hit your number. But in a tech company, you are always surrounded by other team members or people that can support you and teach you. And so I've never felt very alone in a sales world when I'm working at a tech company, which I've benefited from. And it's cool to hear you have the same type of experience.
Yeah, we win together, we lose together, you know, like we all share the same emotions, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, we have goals to hit, you know, as a company, and you know, you can't do without your team, you know. So having a good team, and you know, where you can be transparent and share ideas and have, you know, constructive criticism is super important for not only the company's development but for your own development, you know.
For sure. And even, especially in a small startup, you said earlier, you have a cool opportunity to be around like the VP sales with Cam, but also the founders and other really high up members within the company. What's that experience been like, being able to be surrounded by leaders and mentors like that just on a daily basis?
Yeah, I mean, they have like literally an open door policy, you know, like unless they're in a meeting, you know, they're always available to chat. You know, we have weekly company meetings where they're very transparent with the state of the company, you know, what's going on internally, like who are we talking to, who we might partner with, like, and that goes a long way, you know, for somebody that like me in an entry level position, just to, you know, have that kind of one-on-one open door policy, and just to be kept in the loop of what's the state of the company and things like that, and have that transparency. You know, it gives you confidence in your leaders that you look up to, you know?
Yeah. Well, dude, how many people get to go to lunch with their VP of sales? You know?
Yeah, right? Dude, yeah, exactly. Lunch on them too.
Lunch on them every time.
Right.
Well, in the role of being an SDR as well, it's sometimes tough, like it's a grind.
For sure.
And I think it's almost like a proving ground, because there's a lot more things to come, being an AE, moving up into management types of positions potentially. But you got to get through being an SDR. So what's been one of the challenging pieces, maybe something that you expected or maybe something you didn't expect, just about being in an SDR role?
Yeah, I think, you know, first discovering like the SDR role, it's like, oh yeah, you're just cold calling people, no big deal. But when you put it in perspective, like when you're calling these high stakeholders, like you're competing against like probably 100 other people for their time, you know? So you have to really stand out and, you know, approach it in unique ways. And it kind of gets exciting for me, because I get to show my creative side. You know, I've been leveraging like LinkedIn, try to follow these people and hopefully try to warm up the conversation. And then when that works, it's just like such an awesome win. You know, it's like nothing like it, that you did the work, and you know, was a little unconventional, but you were able to pique their interest. You know, and then ultimately when they you know, hop on the call and see what you have going on, they're like, wow, you know, this is amazing. Like, I'm so glad to hop on this call and know what's out there, you know? So there's no satisfying feeling like that.
And you talk about competing for time. Yeah. Especially as you start to talk to higher up people and decision makers within a company, you're totally right. You are competing, maybe not just product wise, Because I think that a lot of these tech companies have a very unique product, which is pretty niche and cool. But you are competing for time with a lot of different individuals.
Yeah, not only time, but budget too. Like for me personally, like my role, I reach out to marketers and directors of admissions at universities, and these people are getting like 100 emails a day. It's like, sometimes they don't open my email, and that's part of like the reality of it. I'm in the inbox of like 50 other people, like, hey, look at me, like 15 minutes. So, it's really allowed me to be creative and just kind of like express myself in like certain ways to pique that interest. And it makes me think strategical and problem solve.
Dude, strategy. That is the name of the game. If you have that skill, I think you can accomplish almost anything out there.
Indeed.
But I think it's also cool to hear about, being able to be yourself a little bit more with these people. One of the things that surprised me in sales was like, yes, people are always so busy, but when you can help them understand that you're human and you're just another individual who's reaching out and trying to serve them, and they can feel that humanness or that type of connection, I think that increases your chances tenfold, if not more. And I've been surprised by how many people are actually willing to speak with you and talk with you when they can actually tell that you are another person, that you are human, and you're not just kind of reading some paper or some script.
You're 100% right, man. And that's human connection for you. We're social creatures, and while nobody likes being cold called, but if you can show your human side and really show that that you have something of awesome value, but you're also like a great person as well, and you actually care about solving their problem, like that makes it a whole lot more fun.
Yeah, well said. So coming into tech sales, did you have any previous sales experience at all, or was it kind of just in healthcare?
I worked in admissions in healthcare, and it was somewhat of a sales process, but it was more inbound, Okay. There were times where I would have to, convince a potential client to come to our facility over another one, things like that. And so that kind of gave me like a foot in the door of as far as like how sales would be, But when you're cold calling somebody, it's a whole different ball game. So I appreciate that challenge as well, and I think it brings the best out of me at the end of the day.
So when you decided to come through the course, maybe you didn't have a specific sales type of background. What were some of the takeaways that you gained coming through the program? Like being able to work with Dojo, being able to work with Jackson, who was your instructor at the time. Yep. What were some of your biggest takeaways, and what was most helpful as you started to transition into an actual SDR role?
Yeah. Of course, shout out to Jackson, man. He was a great mentor, just as you are as well. But Jackson, was very, he just like him, he shows that he cares, about our development. He challenges us. And coming out of that course, I felt a lot more confident, breaking into tech. And, I feel like I already had a strong foundation of what I need to do and how I'm going to do it, So overall, the skills I've learned, the best way I can take from it is having confidence in yourself. Because, coming from Louisiana and switching careers, I was taking a risk, and I think there's like healthy doubt in everybody in themselves, like, is this for me? Am I cut out for this? Was this the right move? So, going through the course really kind of, built me up in a way.
Well, I appreciate hearing that. That's actually cool. And when you say confidence, that is actually in our mission statement as a company. Is we want to help people develop the confidence and skill set that they need to go out and reach their goals. And so, yes, we want to develop the skills, but even more importantly than that, it's the confidence. Because I think if you have that kind of swagger about you, like people can sense that, people can feel that. And I don't think there's a better feeling in the world than just feeling confident going into something.
Yeah, people, can, read your energy, and the way you come off can, make or break a call or, a potential relationship, whatever it may be. It's a it's like how you put yourself out there is, you know, what people notice, you know, and how you do it. So, you know, overall, like, you know, finishing the course at Dojo really kind of got me excited and fired up for what's to come.
Yeah, I love that. I was at Silicon Slopes this past week, and we were listening to some of the speakers, and one of the speakers was Elder Bednar, so he's like one of the leaders in the church, and he talked about education, and I loved some of the things that he said. But he talked how education should not just be something you do in school, but education should be something that is pursued throughout your entire life. And he talked about some of the roles that he'd been in, for example, being president of BYU Idaho.
Yeah.
He said when he was in the interview, they asked him like, hey, if we made you the president, what would you do? Like, what would be some of your plans? And he says, I've never been in the role, so I actually don't know. And a week later, he got the letter that he was going to be the president of BYU.
Wow. Yeah.
And he said when they were interviewing him that he didn't know what to do. But the value of education is being able to teach yourself what to do when you don't know what to do.
That's amazing.
And it's totally changed my perspective where it's okay to not know how to do something, or it's okay maybe to not even be good at something as well. But when you have the opportunity to learn and to progress, whether through a course or through book, through other podcasts you listen to, I think there's so many ways to take advantage of those resources to help you become the best version of yourself and to ultimately reach your goals or discover what you want to do and how to do it at the end of the day.
Dude, 100%, man. And it's about taking action at the end of the day. You know, you can come up with all these ideas of what you want to do or what you need to do, but you know, that can just build up more anxiety. But until you take action, that's when you'll start feeling the pressure come off, and that's when you'll start seeing the results, you know. And there's no better feeling than pushing through that, you know. So I think that's super important.
So this is a question that I've wanted to ask you for a little while, but I'm fascinated by the topic of education. I think it's really changing. I think that we have access to anything we want these days.
For sure.
We can learn anything we want, but you get to work with schools and universities and boot camps and all these things like with Halda because your product fits in those areas. But are you seeing the educational landscape change at all? Like from a traditional how it used to be versus like where it's going. I'm curious if you've seen any types of progression within how information is being received or taught within universities and things like that.
Yeah. It's definitely, you know, pretty complex and changing for sure. You know, where Halda comes in, and I'm not trying to sell us or anything like that, but we're looking to give students a more personalized experience when it comes to the website. And with developments in technology, you know, we have such instant gratification things with things like Netflix, Amazon. Things are personalized to us now, right? So, and then, you know, students hop on a university website and they're not seeing any personalization. It's an encyclopedia, you know, and you're like, where do I even start? And you tell a 17-year-old high school student that's looking to go to college to figure it out. It's like, no, that's missed out on a lot of opportunities. But like, as far as like the education space, man, like, you know, we also kind of, universities are kind of struggling with finding, people aren't realizing or kind of pushing away the idea of how valuable education really is, you know? So some people, you know, are, you know, why would I go spend this much money to go to a university when I could just do a boot camp for, you know, a whole lot less and less time, you know, work with my work-life balance and stuff. So there's definitely a need, you know, for personalization in this market. And I think that's the way, you know, schools are going to get by, because it's going to get pretty rough in the next 5 to 10 years, you know, of where education is going to go. So, but I think if we, you know, keep instilling that value and, you know, show the return on investment that like this, you know, this really works, like, you know, that would be a way to turn it around.
Yeah.
But it's a long process.
It's cool that you're on the front lines and kind of get to see that firsthand, where I think there's so much value that comes through university system. But I also think there's so much value that people can take through other resources. And it all comes down to how much you put in is what you're going to get out of it.
100%. Yeah.
I believe that a bachelor's degree can completely change somebody's life. If someone's able to come into a school and get a degree, it can completely change the trajectory of their future. But I've also seen so many people come into a school and check a box and not take anything away from their degree. Not that they don't use it, that's one, but they also they didn't put any effort. And they just were present in body, but maybe not in spirit with their learning. And so I think in order for schools to keep up, I think things are going to continue to change. I think, like you said, they're going to try to personalize the experience more to what students want because there's going to be so many options. But I also think that, students, because they're going to have more options, I think schools are going to have to adjust and make it more accessible somehow.
More accessible for sure. Yeah. And that's a big barrier, believe it or not. It's not really tuition. It's like how complicated these websites are. And like how, like, where are you going to tell this 17-year-old kid that's on TikTok like half the day and he's like, you're asking him to apply for school. It's like, it's asking a lot, and that's missed opportunity for these schools, So, but I think personalization, we're already experiencing it in our life today. We're all guilty of it, Netflix, Spotify, when I'm going to drive home after this, I'm going to have something recommended to me and I'll be like, oh, great podcast or, oh, a song. So it's like, times are changing and so are the, these kids are growing up a lot different than how you and I have probably, so.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens, dude. We'll be hanging out, just watching from the outside. Maybe won't be in that up and coming generation anymore, but I'm excited to see what takes place. I think it's trending in a good way.
I think in a good way. It's going to be a change that's much needed in an industry that's known to be kind of slow. So I feel like it's exciting to be on like the front line of introducing something innovative,
That's exciting. I appreciate you sharing your thoughts because I know that you've been working with those companies. It's cool to hear your perspective on that.
Appreciate that. Yeah, man.
But,
absolutely.
Dude, as we kind of wrap up, I just want to give you the opportunity to maybe just share some advice. If someone's either looking to get into sales or thinking about becoming an SDR, you've had this experience now. And I think because you've been through it, you're able to look back with better vision and say, oh, I wish I knew this, or I wish I'd done this, or maybe I'd changed this, or I'm glad how I did things already. What advice would you give someone that's kind of looking at shifting career paths or getting into like a potential tech sales type of role?
For sure. I think you have to take risks, man, because if you're not happy where you're at currently, and if you're not taking any action or taking any risks, you're going to be stuck in the same boat you're in currently. So what really kind of shifted my perspective, it's like, all right, am I going to be happy where I'm at, a year to 5 years from now? It's like, oh, heck no. I knew I deserved better. And I have, what keeps me going is like, what my potential could be if I were to, leave this planet or leave this earth or, for whatever reason. And I, look back and I'm like, wow, I should have did this. Oh, I should have pursued that better, or, things like that. I don't want to have those regrets, So your desire to change has to be stronger than your desire for comfort.
Dude, I have nothing to add to that. That was the best mic drop that we could have had.
It's all right.
Your desire to change needs to be stronger than your desire for comfort. Quote that one too, Brendan Sundrud. Well, dude, I appreciate you taking your time to be on the podcast, to be able to share your perspective. I think you're crushing it. I think you're a rock star and you're just getting started. I think the company you're at is an amazing place. It sounds like they're getting ready to ramp things up a little bit, which is exciting. You have amazing leaders around you. I think your future is just as bright as you want it to be. So keep going. You're doing some good things, but I appreciate you being able to spend some time with me.
Dude, of course. It's the least I can do, man. And I appreciate you, dude, because, you helped me a lot, and just needed that extra push and motivation. And, I knew I wanted to be surrounded by, good, like-minded people. And, you were one of the first people I was introduced to coming to this state. And, Everything I've learned from dojo, I've taken it with speed, hitting the ground running. So yeah, thank you again, man. You're doing great work.
You're a rock star, man. Brendan, thanks for coming, dude.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.